The Casino Heist DLC is only a few days away, and Rockstar still really haven't given us much information to go on. But one thing that caught my eye in the Newswire post a couple of days ago was this sentence. In order to plan the biggest heist ever perpetrated in Los Santos, heist crew leaders will set up an unexpected new commercial venture as a front, a retro arcade business property, shrouding the nerve center within where heist operations are staged and rehearsed. So that is confirming we're getting a new business property, and it's going to be an arcade. And I'm assuming it's going to work very similar to the nightclub in that, like, the main business, the arcade, will be completely legit, much like the nightclub is completely legit. But then all the illegal stuff is going to go on, like, underground. And, of course, probably like the nightclub, I'm sure there'll be multiple levels, multiple layers of garages and just other places so you can spend your money and get whatever you want. But what I wanted to do, because this is such a, I mean, like they even say in the sentence, an unexpected business venture, an arcade. Who would have ever guessed us, people that own gun bunkers, people that sell cocaine, weed, all these other drugs, people that steal cars. I mean, now we're doing arcade businesses. You know, it's such a just a random thing. Out of all the places that could have been a front, I think people would have thought maybe like a restaurant, I don't know, some other minor little business like that, but not an arcade. An arcade is so out there. But I'm actually super interested in seeing what Rockstar do. Obviously, they could add all the little arcade games that are in our offices and all that. But in this video, I want to go to some locations that I think would be perfect for this arcade business. And when I was flying around the map here, we're actually standing in front of one of the locations, but I was trying to find buildings that were relatively large, you know, that would sort of house an arcade, because I'm thinking an arcade will be like a nightclub or like even the casino to an extent, where there'll be some NPCs in there in addition to players. So you want it to be somewhat big, and if they do add some new actual arcade games, which I'm sure they will, because I think we only have like 2 at the moment, then I'm sure there'll have to be space to have them put around. So I was trying to find relatively big buildings, also with a garage door, because if it's a new business property, I'm sure there's going to be a new garage, bunch of new garages, hopefully for new garage space. So it's got to have a garage door. Now, one of the other things that I didn't really care too much about when I was going around the map finding these locations was what the exterior was, what it looked like. And the reason is because up until the casino update, we didn't really expect Rockstar to be making a whole bunch of changes to the outside of the buildings. But with the casino update, they said, screw it, screw the old. I don't know why we're having some FPS issues here, but we're just going to completely redo it. And I think that's what could happen again, because the head Rockstar developer in an interview about a month ago said that, you know, they're willing to do that more. So with all that being said, let's take a look at some of these locations. And of course, in the comment section or even on Twitter or whatever, if you have any locations that you think would be perfect for an arcade, let me know. But this first one, I figured we're obviously out here on the beach. What better spot for an arcade than on a beach? I mean, it's literally like the most perfect spot for an arcade. Got a bunch of foot traffic, right? Got a nice location here, a big building. And that's why I did choose this location. And again, they can totally wipe all of these little signs and revamp this to make it look like an arcade. There's a bunch of windows, so you can maybe see inside of the arcade, which would be cool. And then around back, obviously, whoops, we have one garage door, which I'm just noticing is a Rockstar logic. There's a pole in the way, so you pretty much can't use that. But around back, there's like 5 more, so it does not even matter. So this, I mean, honestly, out of all the locations I'm going to show you guys, this is probably, I would be disappointed if we don't get one here. I mean, this is just perfect. You got yourself beachfront property. This could be the most expensive one. A decently sized building, bunch of garage doors to go into, a nice road that, is there, so you're not going behind buildings and stuff. It's in a pretty good location as far as compared to the other part of the map. I mean, the casino's just right across the city. So this is like the perfect location. I don't think it's been used for anything else. Sticking to the city for the time being, one of the other locations that I don't necessarily know if it would work because this building is huge, but it is a mega mall, so you could have an arcade inside. There's there's 4 entrances, and it's a huge building, so it would make sense for an arcade and for, some sort of garage to be in here. But the only problem is that if you actually go around this place, there's not really like a garage door. So if Rockstar did decide to make this an arcade, it wouldn't, they'd have to update it a little bit more. And as far as location goes, I mean, this is right down here, south part of the city, kind of by the arena actually, so it's kind of in a good location to that. But this is, I mean, you got a good parking lot area. It kind of reminds me of the casino, the casino we had before, the one we have now, a little bit. So I could totally see this building becoming an arcade. And actually, one thing I do want to mention, Fun mentioned this on one of the forums. He said that these arcades are probably going to be warehouses, like just warehouses reimagined, maybe spruced up a little bit. But that's another sort of thing I was looking for. So some big buildings, warehouse-looking buildings that would fit the bill. And I think this mega mall building fits the bill. It might be a little too big. Now, one of the other locations down kind of near the city, and you'll notice I don't actually go into the city with any of these because I really hope we don't get anything in the city. I'm tired of stuff being in the city. Like, have stuff be around the city. But we have all of these industrial warehouses, and there's a ton to choose from. The one that I think would be perfect is these two right here, because there's literally nothing inside of them. Although I believe one of the recent missions does take place in here, so maybe that wouldn't work. But if you don't include that, this would be perfect. You could have your garage over here, where the garage door is, and then over here the arcade, where there's windows, and it's a relatively large space for a little arcade. It's not in the greatest of spots, but hey, that's why this maybe could be one of the cheaper ones. But really, I think this area, there's a ton of different options to choose from if you're going just for warehouses. I mean, none of these warehouses get used for anything, and there's tons of spots to choose from. But I think that's probably the best location. And then the last spot down here in the city, this one isn't necessarily a specific location, but I hope we get something over here in Mirror Park. Now, the one downside to Mirror Park is that it's mainly just houses. There's not really any of these buildings that fit the description that I was sort of going for. Like, even the ones over here, there's not really, they're buildings, right? And they could work as an arcade, but then you wouldn't really have a garage, so it wouldn't make much sense for a property, because I'm sure there has to be some sort of garage attachment. But I really like this area. I think it's an area that gets often overlooked. It's actually right down the street from the casino, so you kind of have location going. The only building that I think maybe could work is this little supermarket. And the only reason I say that is because it's by itself, so they could make it look a little bit nicer. It's not too big, so, the inside, maybe this could be a cheaper building. And they could probably maybe, like, convert one of these side buildings to some sort of garage. And if everything is underground, it doesn't necessarily matter how big the exterior building is. But there's a lot of these like marketplaces that don't really get used that could be converted into arcades. Now, heading up north, there's a few areas that I think would be perfect for an arcade. And the first one is this diner. Now, yes, this is kind of the iconic diner, and the only reason I think it might not happen is because of that, but it doesn't really get used for a whole bunch. And if they converted this, remodeled it, whatever, to an arcade, it would be perfect. You have this giant purple dinosaur outside. You could put like a controller in his hands instead of a hot dog. I mean, the building just kind of looks like an old retro arcade style of a building. It's a decent space. There's even a little garage here. So maybe this one, the garage would be separate, at least on the exterior. Once you go inside, everything would be connected because it would all be underground. But I think this would be such a fun and awesome location. I mean, it's kind of out here, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I think that's like perfect because you would maybe have some sort of peace and calm since there's not a whole bunch around here. This, apart from the first location, this is probably my favorite location just because of its uniqueness. One thing I want to say before we head further up north is Sandy Shores. I just don't see them releasing any sort of arcade in Sandy Shores. It's too run down and there's not really a whole bunch of spaces for it. Although you do have this giant market or I guess tool shop over here. But much like the Mega Mall, this might be too big for an arcade. One of the locations in Grapeseed I think could work is this tractor parts store. It's right across the street from the nightclub or from the biker clubhouse. So we know Rockstar like this location to an extent. It's on the main highway. It's a relatively small building. You have your garage right on the street, so you don't have to go around back. And if they did just make it not tractor parts, which no one ever needs in this game, I think this would be a pretty cool location for an arcade. And just to show you guys the actual location on the map, it's right here off of whatever this highway is called, but it's right next to the interstate and, again, right across from the biker house. Only question is, would they want to have two properties literally across the street from each other? I don't know. Now, I thought in the actual town of Grapeseed, an arcade would fit perfectly. Like, it's just this little small town. An arcade, I think, would fit perfectly in this little, or on this little strip. The only problem is that there's not a whole bunch of buildings, right? Much like some of these other locations. But again, we have the supermarket, which is this relatively large building. You have your garage outside, some decent parking. No one needs supermarkets in this game. So let's convert this to an arcade. I think that would be a fantastic little location. Now, even though Paleto Bay is way up here at the north of the map, I think it might be the perfect location for an arcade. Like, an arcade just kind of fits the vibe that's going on in this town. And there are two locations in this town that I think would work perfectly for an arcade. And the first one is right over here. We have Willie's, which I think is another supermarket, but it's got a pretty big parking outside. You have glass that actually you can see through, so you could definitely have a see-through arcade, which would be cool. And then I believe around back on the other side over here. Oh, yeah, here you go. There is the garage door. You actually have two garage doors. So this would be a really cool location. Again, it's Paleto, so not many people maybe would buy this because, I mean, look, you're way at the top of the map. The casino, which you're going to be heisting, is way down here. So you'd have to go literally the other side of the map, but it would be kind of a cool spot to house an arcade. The other spot in Paleto that I thought would work is all the way down here on the other side, and it's this post-op warehouse. You already have the garage door right there. It's right off the street. You have the little entrance. You have two entrances, actually. You have the parking around on this side. They can maybe make the exterior look a little bit nicer and maybe get rid of some of these fences. But it's a warehouse building that has a garage that is big enough and that's not being used by anything. So I thought that's another good location up here for Paleto Bay. And then the final location is all the way over here on the far left of the map in Shamash. We know that there's a bunker somewhere over here in Shamash. And the building that we're taking a look at right here would be perfect for an arcade. Now, maybe the entire little the entire big building here, I guess, might not be used. But considering there's, what, 4 stores here, they can maybe take 2 of these stores out and convert them into an arcade. It's right off the interstate, so perfect access, pretty big area. You're actually next to 3 different things: an ammunition, a tattoo parlor, and a clothing shop. So it's actually perfect for that little stuff. You have kind of glass windows to look into. And then if we go back on the street, you can go over here around back, and it has a little garage right there. So this is another really cool location for an arcade. I mean, it's kind of isolated a little bit. There's not a whole bunch going around in this part of the map, but that doesn't necessarily mean an arcade wouldn't work. And it's kind of on the beach. Like, this could be like the poor man's beach arcade. If you didn't want one down here by the actual beach, you'd have one right here. Apparently with taco trucks being hit by police cars. But yeah, those are 10 locations I think would be perfect for an arcade. Let me know in the comments where, if you think there are any other locations you want them to be at, or you can even just give me a general sort of area. Like I said, I really hope we don't get anything like in the main part of the city. One of the places that I think would be good would maybe be up here, like in the Rockford Hills area. But when I went to explore this area, there wasn't a whole bunch of like empty warehouses with garage doors like I showed you guys throughout this video. Although I guess that hasn't stopped Rockstar before. They could just somehow add buildings like they did with the facility. But I think it would make more sense for them to just repurpose buildings that are already in the game. But that is it with the video. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy and found it interesting, then please drop it a like, subscribe for more casino heist videos. But as always, I will see you guys in the next one.